5 tips on how to develop will and moral courage. Now, before we get into that, I would like to share with you what is the meaning of will and moral courage. So let's start with will. So, according to Google, this is a psychological meaning, okay? So, volition or will is the cognitive process by which an individual decides and commits to a particular course of action. It is purposive striving and is one of the primary human psychological functions. Volitional process can be applied cautiously or they can be automized as a habit over time. So remember that having will makes you not necessarily makes you a good person, no, but if you develop this over time, you tend to do your actions more effectively when doing things. You are able to decide on what to do better. Now let's move on to moral courage. Now, moral courage is the courage to take action of a moral reason despite the risk of adverse consequences. So courage is required to take action when one has doubts or fears about the consequences. Moral courage therefore involves deliberation and careful thought. Okay, now moral courage or courage in general, this is you're doing things na kinakatakutan mo. In the long run, when you conquer it, you will never be afraid of it anymore. Ganon, that's how courage works. Okay? So, moving on, I have my group mates here with me para mag-explain sa inyo kung ano yung 5 tips na yun, guys, no? So, let's move on to the first tip, which is having self-discipline. Okay.
So hello guys, pag-uusapan natin ngayon is how to develop your will and courage. So isa sa mga categories dun is una yung develop and practice self-discipline. So first, what is self-discipline? Ito yung ability to push yourself forward, stay motivated and take action regardless of how you're feeling, physically or emotionally. Pinapakita mo dito is when you intentionally choose to pursue something better for yourself. And you do it in spite of factors like distraction, hard work, or unfavorable odds. Kailangan mo ito sa pag-develop sa sarili mo. Para ito sa pag-build ng muscle, the more you work developing it and using it, the stronger it will become. So sa sobrang laking tulong na ito, lalo na sa pag-develop sa pagkataong, merong mga steps sa pag-develop ng self-discipline mo. So first is choose your goal. Pumili ka ng gusto mo, makakamit, tipong gusto mo makamit at mag-focus ka doon. Make sure ang goal mo ay makakatulong sa sarili mo. Kung ito ba ay specific, measurable, attainable, and relevant, and time-bound. And break yung goal mo down into a smaller sub-goals. Second is find your motivation. Maghanap ka ng motivation mo. Hanapin mo yung sobrang laking tulong neto once you choose a goal. List the reason why you want to achieve it and try to express this into a positive way. Once na nakita mo na yung motivation mo, kung bakit gusto mo ma-achieve yung goal mo, you find it much easier to get it. Third is identify obstacles. Tandaan natin na hindi natin basta-basta makakuha o ma-achieve natin yung gusto natin na hindi natin nararanasan na mag-struggle. So you need to identify the obstacles and face it and make strategy to overcome it. So fourth is replace old habits. Pag nasa process ka ng developing and practicing your self-discipline, try to break a bad habit na nakasanayan nyo before and replace it with something more productive at yung tipong makakatulong sa sarili mo. And fifth is monitor your progress. So ito yung last steps para sa pag-develop ng self natin. always remember to pay attention sa mga progress na ginagawa mo kung ano bang feeling habang nasa development stage ka. And strengthens it. Kung nafe-feel mo na successful yung ginagawa mo, you might feel free, happy, proud, and energized. So, yun lang.
Hi, I'm Aldrin James Perez, and I'm going to tell you what is the second tips of developing will and moral courage. So the second tips is do mental strength training. These methods never reserved for a few special people. One of the simplest and effective method under the mental strength training is involved declining to satisfy an important and unnecessary desire. Everybody is normally confronted and tempted by the endless stream of craving of temptations, many of which are not actually important, desirable. By practicing to refuse to gratify one of them, a person becomes courageous and stronger. There are some tips or examples for mental strength training. Number one is do not open or use your social media account for a day or two, because sometimes the social media gives us a negative vibe, give us a depression, but yeah, just a negative vibe. And second is drink water or juices to avoid drinking alcohols or liquor, kasi sometimes the liquor is not helping as much. Pwede ka nitong dito madala pa sa worst na scenario, ganyan. And avoid chit-chatting your gossipy friend, kasi sila yung nagbibigay sa'yo ng minsang chismis na pwede mong makuhanan ng negative vibes din, parang Facebook ganyan or social media, kasi sila yung hindi naman sa hindi pagkakatiwalaan, pero kailangan talaga natin silang i-avoid, kasi baka madamay tayo sa mga negativity na dinadala nila. The fourth is go to sleep an hour before early than usual for a week. Give yourself a time to relax. Give yourself to relax. And number 5 is resist the desire to gamble. Hindi naman sabing hindi ako nagsusugal, pero kung kailangan maiwasan yung pagsusugal, kailangan iwasan, kasi minsan ang pagsusugal is nakaka-stress din. Yan. Namumblema tayo sa pera, ganyan. And pag natalo tayo, mamumblema rin tayo. Kung maghahanap tayo ng pera na pangsusugal din natin, mamumblema rin. Di pares talo yung both side. Kaya iwasan na natin yung mga ganyan. Yun lang. Yun yung mga training na dapat nating gawin para sa atin.
Draw inspiration from people of great courage. So as we all know, people usually admire one person or respect one person if he or she have won great success, have overcame difficulties and hardships in their life, or sometimes they improve their moral life, their spiritual life, and they became worthy of imitation. So one example of this is Mr. Nick Vujicic. So Mr. Nick Vujicic live his life without limbs. Parang nabuhay siya na walang paa, walang kamay sa buong buhay niya. And then one time, kinwestiyon niya na din yung sarili niya na parang, why me? Why me, Lord? Why me, God? Ang dami-daming tao na pwedeng gawin mo to, pero bakit ako? So, and then one time, it was like, he read one verse in the Bible. So this is that John chapter 9, verse 3. It is about blind people. So when he read that verse, he was like, oh, okay, Lord, kaya pala ganito yung ginawa mo sa akin. Kaya pala ganito ako. Kasi may dahilan. So he became one of the people who became inspiration to others because of that mindset. Na parang, hindi dahil ganito ako, hindi dahil wala akong paa, hindi dahil wala akong kamay, wala na akong silbi sa mundo. Kahit ganito ako, may kaya pa din akong.
Hello guys, so yung next tip on how to develop will and moral courage is to repeatedly do acts that exhibit moral courage and will. So napakasimple lang nito. Ulit-ulitin mo lang yung mga bagay na nagpapaunlad sa moral courage mo. Pag sinabing moral courage, ito yung paggawa ng tama kahit na may times na may risk na kapalit. Then yung will naman is yung kagustuhan mong gawin yung isang bagay na hindi labag sa loob mo. May willingness kumbaga. For example, nangyari na to sa akin or sa amin ng friends ko. So, may nag-ask sa amin na matandang babae kung saan yung sakayan ng bus. Doon sa may alabang to. Siyempre, naawa kami kasi may mga bit-bit. At that time, may pasok na sana kami sa school. And medyo malapit na rin yung time ng pasukan. Pero naisip namin na tulungan si ate kasi pagod na siya. Pagod siya. Kaya sinabi namin kay ate na ihatid namin siya sa sakayan ng bus and tutulungan namin siya na bitbitin yung mga dala niya. Hindi na namin inalala yung oras kasi willing din kami tumulong kahit na may risk, yung malilate kami sa klase. After naman namin siyang tulungan, mahatid dun sa sakayan, sobrang saya niya. And thank you siya ng thank you sa amin. And hindi naman kami nag-expect na kapalit kasi syempre, naghihirap din naman yung tao. Ang gaan lang sa pakiramdam na and ang sarap sa feeling na makatulong sa iba and parang gusto mong ulit-uliting tumulong. So, another example is standing up against bullies. Kapag nakita mo yung friend mo na inaaway-away ng iba or sinisigaw-sigawan, why not protect your friend? Hindi naman kinakailangan na makipag-away ka sa kanila eh. Pagsabihan mo, patigilin mo. Oo, it's somehow risky kasi baka sugurin ka, pero standing up against them, it's actually a brave move. And ginagawa mo yung kung ano yung tama. At least natulungan mo pa yung friend mo na natakot na harapin sila. As long as hindi ka napilitan, you're developing your moral courage and will by helping those who are in need and those who are being discriminated. So, isa pang example. Diba sa bahay natin, lagi tayong nauutusan ng parents natin? Minsan magagalit pa yan kapag di ka kumilos agad. Why not subukan yung gawin yung house chores or kumilos agad kung makita mo man na tambak na yung hugasin or madumi na yung sahig nang hindi na uutusan. Ang sarap kaya sa feeling na matuwa yung magulang mo sa'yo kasi nagkusang loob ka. Sobrang daming halimbawa ng mga tamang gawain. Isa na dyan yung hindi pag-judge ng iba, pagiging honest sa lahat ng oras, pagiging makatao, and so much more. Pag patuloy mong ginagawa yung mga bagay na nasa tama, it makes you grow as a person with good morality. And manonotice mo sa sarili mo one day na nagawa mo makatulong sa iba kahit na walang kapalit. It means na willing ka talaga to let yourself develop throughout your life by helping other people. And malay mo, you could also change their lives. Kahit sa simple act of kindness man yan, sobrang nakakagaan sa loob. Kaya advice ko sa inyo, keep doing things that is right without any hesitations and kung buong puso mong gagawin kung ano yung tama. So, keep growing.
Good day everyone, my name is Andre Gabingo, and today I'm gonna discuss the tips about how to develop will and moral courage. So this tip I'm gonna use is avoid tips that show lack of moral courage and will. And in this tip was all about being irresponsibility, cowardice, apathy, rashness, imprudence, ill will, and wickedness. And I'm gonna give a few examples of this. So example number 1 is breaking a promise. So breaking a promise is one of an act of being lack of moral courage and will, because this shows that you can take responsibility as a man or a woman who make a promise to the other. And second example is lying or cheating. It was the same as breaking a promise. Lying or cheating shows that you didn't take responsible to your action, and in this way many people will not trust you and many people will hurt because of you. Number 3 is remaining silent in the face of wrongdoing or injustice. In this example means being cowardice because it didn't do anything even thought he or she knew what is the truth, and that is why this is one of the example of having lack of moral courage in will. The fourth is grabbing the spotlight from someone who has earned it. In this example, it was all about being imprudence or ill will toward other. Why? Because in this action, it shows that you steal someone's spotlight, or we can say that you steal someone who worked hard to earn it. Number 5 is laughing at someone's misfortune or accident. In this example, embarrassing someone or taking it as a joke, even thought someone is hurt because of accident, is wrongdoing, and this show how we lack moral courage. And the last example is walking away from someone who needs help. In this example, we need to help those who really need help, or even though we can't help them, we can support them or assist them. Like for example is when we see an old lady who walking a pedestrian lane, we need to help her cross the line and show moral courage and will. That's all.
So that's all for today. Thank you for listening to our group, we are very thankful, and we hope that this video would help you in the long run. Thank you. Peace.